Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Hajra Iman from School of Law and Policy, and I welcome you all to another episode of the Lawyer's Desk Season 2. Our today's topic is the challenges and prospects of judicial independence in Pakistan. And for that, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Sardar Muhammad Lateef Khosa. He's a Pakistani lawyer and a politician with career spanning over 5 decades. He became advocate of Supreme Court in 1980. He served as the governor of Punjab from 2011 to 2013 and was the Attorney General of Pakistan from 2008 and 9. Given his extensive career, currently he is a member of National Assembly since February 2024, and we have the pleasure to have him here with us today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, to begin with, what do you think, what have been the main challenges to the judicial independence in the Pakistan's history?
Well, I think you have to look into the historical perspective. And the one who was the dreamer for Pakistan, Allama Iqbal, he had a vision of a welfare state. And not only for the Muslims of India, but even the Muslims all over the globe. You see, he envisioned a powerful Muslim Ummah, which was ordained by the Holy Prophet and by Allah himself in the Quran. And then he also, in his poetic lyrics, not only in Urdu, not only in Persian, but all they were dubbed in all the languages of the world. And when he said about the Muslims, "Tu shahi hai parwaz hai kaam tera, tere samne asman aur bhi hai, isi roz o shab mein ulaj karna reh ja ke tere zama o makan aur bhi hai." So he gave this concept. And then he said, "Khudi ko kar buland itna ke har takdeer se pehle khuda bande se khud puche, bata teri raza kya hai." So he believed that the Muslims have the power to rule this world under the, of course, overall ambit and guidance of Allah Almighty and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. And so he wanted to glorify and take the Muslims into the same era when the Muslims were the pioneers of everything. Look at the medicine. In medicine also, Abu Sina. In geometry, in algebra, in the global context of falkiyat or whatever you call them, philosophy. Everywhere the Muslims were right on top of the pinnacle. Unfortunately, the decadence came when somehow the Turkish Empire also vanished, when we had all the Byzantine Empire and everything we had demolished and the Muslims were. And then the decadence came. Unfortunately, nobody was there to guide them. In fact, the illiterate mullahs, I will not say that the scholars are definitely there and are a blessing and a force of real strength to the Muslims. But those, the bigotries, they started, giving fatwas all over. And they said, don't use this, don't learn English because this is also infidel, kafir. So we went back and back and back, and unfortunately and then Allama Iqbal gave this vision. And Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was also a barrister. He was an upright person. He was a gentleman par excellence. He would not succumb or surrender to any pressures, anything of the world. And he would not deviate and depart from the truth. He would go straight. He was a principled man. He went on the principles. And Alhamdulillah, under his leadership, we were able to have the freedom. But the first basic structure of the Muslims or the Pakistan was the 23rd of March 1940 resolution in Lahore, Qarardad Pakistan, jise kehte hain. And so that is the basic foundational instrument that we have for the Muslims, to empower the Muslims, to give them freedom, not only freedom from the colonial yoke, but also economic freedom and their rights, basic rights. And then that translated into the 14th of August 1947, when we were able to obtain Pakistan. But we couldn't, because Qaid-e-Azam died unfortunately in 48. Liaquat Ali was also murdered in October 1951. And then we had the civil bureaucrats who took over, and thereafter the military bureaucrats. So the first constitution that we got, in a way you can say it's the second, because of course we were in a constitutional dispensation. The Act of 1935 was regulating us, and the Independence Act of 1947. But nevertheless, the first constitution we got 1956, with the Constituent Assembly formulated that constitution. Unfortunately, threw it out, saying that it was un. And Ayub Khan, he proclaimed martial law. And then the second constitution we had. Then we had the 62 constitution that couldn't endure either. And we saw that, unfortunately, the country was dismembered. And then the 73 constitution was promulgated with unanimity, of course. We, the people of Pakistan. Now, this is the fourth constitution that we had. So the fourth constitution guaranteed independence of judiciary. It starts with the preamble. Actually, in 1952, we had the objectives resolution. So after 1940, we have the second instrument, objectives resolution, which again gives the founder fathers' vision of a welfare state of Pakistan, of the Muslims of subcontinent. Now that we have now incorporated that as a substantial part of the Constitution under Article 2A of the Constitution of 1973. But basically the preamble again of the 1973 Constitution that clearly envisions the objectives resolution. The framers of the Constitution have seen that the fathers, the fathers of this nation, the vision that they gave, so that has been incorporated in the 73 Constitution. Right. And there, not only we, the people of Pakistan, so it is how a covenant between the state and the people of Pakistan. And this is sacrosanct and this is sacred. And there are fundamental principles in it which cannot be deviated, even by the parliament. So in that, the independence of judiciary has been enshrined not only in the objectives resolution of 1952, but also in the 73 Constitution, in the preamble part we have given that. Right. And then Article 175(3) of the Constitution categorically says that the judiciary shall be separated and it shall be an independent judiciary shall be enforced. The pause of 14 years was given in that. And that was also, I can imagine that the wisdom behind it, although it is too long a period, but nevertheless, since the country had been dismembered, since we had many problems to face, so therefore it was considered at that time to empower the executive a little bit more, right, but without compromising, of course, on the principles of justice. Because without justice, without an independent judiciary, without the people getting justice, because you know, justice, the judicial system is so important that when Churchill was asked during the Second World War, somebody asked Churchill, "Will we win this war?" And he poses a counter question. He says, is the judiciary of Great Britain, is the judiciary dispensating justice? Is it dispensing justice? He said, I have asked you whether we will win the war or not. You are asking, are the courts administering justice? And Churchill said, you answer me first. And he said, yes, the courts are functioning without any fear and without any favor, they are dispensing justice. He said, then we will never lose this war, we'll win this war. So, right, I mean, administering justice to the people of a country is so vital to unify them, to strengthen them, that even the World War at that time, you know, Hitler was just flagrating all over the globe. He was just trampling over and he was killing and he was proceeding. The way he was enslaving the people of the globe, in fact. But nevertheless, justice prevailed ultimately, and yes, Churchill's prophetic words came true. And Hitler was eliminated from the face of the earth. And then we saw a new era ushering into the universe. So
Right.
justice is very important.
Right. So moving forward, how do you think like the relationship between the judiciary and executive has evolved from the past since now?
Yeah, you see, yes, I agree that it has to be the will of the people which regulates and controls. If you are united and you stand for the principles and you have no fear at all and you want to serve the people, you want to serve the motherland, the panacea, of course, is to have a constitutional rule, the rule of law. Because if you have a compromised judiciary, then there is no justice, and there is no rule of law, and there is no constitutional dispensation. So the whole structure crumbles. The soul and essence of a constitutional democracy is an independent judiciary.
Right.
If there is no independent judiciary, the very soul and spirit of the constitution, that demolishes.
Right.
We had that evolutionary phase when the lawyers movement, and not only the lawyers movement was spearheaded by the lawyers, but the politicians also joined, and civil society also joined, and the people of Pakistan also joined, and I must pay tribute to the media also. Everybody joined, and as a nation we were able to secure justice and the restoration of the constitution and the rule of law. But again, we have seen another phase also. Judiciary trying to overreach its powers. When any organ of the state gets power, then they want entire power unto themselves. That again is not correct. To say that judiciary is supreme, no. Judiciary is not supreme. Parliament, to say Parliament is sovereign and supreme, no. It is certainly in its own domain. But again, the Constitution has delineated the powers of every organ of the state. We have a constitution which is based on trichotomy of power. The legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. So they all have their independent domains in which they operate. And if the judiciary overreaches its power, then of course a chaos comes. The liberty that has been given, starting from the right of life, Article 9, and then the Article 10, the fundamentals of due process of law, and then nobody can be arrested without warrants, nobody can be kept in confinement, nobody can be tortured, nobody can be messed up and or given any other treatment except in accordance with law. And then we go to Article 12, we go to Article 14, dignity. It is inalienable right of every person. Then we go to the trading, nobody can then the formation of political parties, right of information, Article 19, and then Article 25, nobody can be discriminated on account of anything. So we have beautiful fundamental rights. But unfortunately, the fundamental rights have also been, and mind you, the legislature also is constrained not to pass any law, simple law, not to pass any simple law in violation of the fundamental rights. So the fundamental rights are sacrosanct, and there is a bar on the legislature also that they cannot exceed, unless of course they want a constitutional amendment for which 2/3 is required. So there also, and even in a constitutional amendment, they cannot hit the fundamentals, the grand norm of the constitution. Spirit, रूह जिसको कहते हैं. They cannot change the federalism. They cannot change the parliamentary form of government. They cannot make it a kingdom. So therefore, again, the legislature also has it, and that also stands very categorically decided. The salient features of the constitution cannot be broken, and they are 3 in number. So therefore, every organ of the state has to remain within its domain.
Right. So you already addressed my next 2 questions, which is great. So moving forward, आपको क्या लगता है कि जो लोगों का trust है in judiciary, how would this change after the 26th Amendment?
Well, I don't think that now they have made another amendment also. And in the judicial appointments of judges, they have increased the strength of the Supreme Court judges from 17 to 33. 17 to 33. Right now, they have already inducted 25, they have taken 25 judges. 2 are ad hoc and 25 judges. So there's an attempt to pack the judiciary with judges who, according to them, would render favorable decisions as per the wishes of the government. And that is a very dangerous trend, Well, if the judges are subservient to the executive, then obviously you are not getting justice. And that is one thing which demoralizes the people. It frustrates the society. It gives rise to people taking the law into their own hands. It creates chaos and frustration. It is a negation of the rule of law. So therefore, it's very dangerous. I think in a civilized society, one would always encourage people to resort to the rule of law instead of taking the arms into their own hands and cutting the necks of each other. Because then obviously the civil society goes to the dogs, and there's no obviously peace and tranquility in society. So if you want a peaceful coexistence within your own country, you cannot compromise on an independent judiciary and a dispensation of justice which is fair, transparent, and without any compromises and qualms. So I think that is the effect that unfortunately has when the judiciary is not independent.
Moving forward, what do you think that what steps can be taken to make the judiciary independent?
Well, I think we have to undo the 26th Amendment, and we will, inshallah, whenever the opportunity comes. This is the first step that we're going to take. The 26th Amendment in the Constitution has to be revoked. It has to go. I think the best thing is to, number one, undo this 26th Amendment. By undoing this 26th Amendment, we can also undo the 19th Amendment and restore back to the balance that we had created for appointment of judges by constitution of the commission. But the principle of seniority, that should never be compromised. The senior most has the right of expectancy, and that was a principle which we evolved after many sacrifices and after struggling. We started from Sharaf Afridi's case. We got an independence of the judiciary, which initially was for 14 years. 73 se 14 years kar le, it never annulled. And then we came up in Sharaf Afridi. And then the Supreme Court said, no, this has to be done. So the independence of judiciary was ensured after Sharaf Afridi's case. Then we have Al-Jihad's trust case, in which again, in 1996, the packing was done by the then government, and they were all thrown out because they said, no, you cannot do this. You cannot transfer somebody and dump him in the federal Shariat court. This dumping is not permissible without his consent. And also, we were able to get. Then Asad Ali's case came in 1998, and of course, Sajjad Ali Shah had to give way because he was not the senior most. He was made the Chief Justice, and then he had to go back. And so the 10th Amendment, the Constitutional Amendment, 18th Amendment, in 2010, we were able to procure it after great efforts and struggle, that the senior most will be the Chief Justice of Pakistan, leaving no choice for the executive. Because the executive will never want an independent man. They would want a pliant person of their choice. Why should we have a Chief Justice of the executive's choice? Let the senior most, who is coming up after all, and he has a right of expectancy, let him have the right of becoming the Chief Justice. So I think on that principle also we should not compromise. So that has to be restored back again.
Right.
And the biggest thing is Constitution must be complied in letter and spirit. There should be no deviation, departure from the constitutional dispensation. The rule of law must prevail. And what is the constitution? The state is the people of Pakistan, mind you. Article 7 says the district assembly, district government, provincial assembly, provincial government, parliament and national assembly. This is the state, which means the people of Pakistan naturally through their representatives. And Article 5 says loyalty to the state, which means the people of Pakistan. Loyalty to the people of Pakistan and obedience to the constitution and law is the inviolable obligation of every citizen of Pakistan. So the wisdom of the people, never underestimate that. And they have an absolute right under the constitution, because obviously the country belongs to 250 million people of Pakistan. So let the people have the right to rule this country, because they know that their future and their future's children are to live here. So the welfare of the people depends and demands that the constitution should be adhered to. The fundamental rights, right of life, liberty, right to form a political party, dignity, all these are beautiful fundamental rights that have been articulated and guaranteed as inviolable in the constitution.
Right, so we talked about the students, how they can be a force in driving Pakistan forward. So specifically talking about the law students. Here at UMT, we also have a law department, School of Law and Policy. What would you like to suggest the newcomers or the graduating students? What role can they play in the future?
Well, first of all, I would ask the administration to introduce the unions. I was myself the president of the Punjab University Law College. And believe you me, that this has carved out my future in life. This has given me so much of confidence, so much of knowledge, so much of command on the language and on the subjects also. You prepare we used to have all Pakistan intercollegiate debates. And we would, it was inclusive of all elements of society, because people coming from different colleges, and we used to interact with each other. We used to, obviously, there was a cohesion, comradeship, which went along. And that was a beautiful feeling of oneness amongst the students of all over the country. So let's restore that. Why can't we do that? I mean, I don't understand why this. We think we don't trust the students. We have to trust them, and we should trust them. Creates such an intellectual personality in a person who contests an election and who then is a part of the debating society, and then who goes and addresses on different topics and different subjects in various schools and various universities. And when we used to bring trophies for our students, for our college and for our university, I was the best speaker, by the way, in my time in the Punjab University. And I had the highest number of trophies also.
Right.
And obviously, we didn't have money at that time. So whenever students would say, let's have dinner, or let's see a movie, we didn't have the money, so we used to sell one of the cups. Right. And for 150 rupees, and that was enough at that time. So we used to carry home. There was a hotel, a restaurant, and then we used to have food and then go for a movie. But these are beautiful memories. Why can't we revive them? There wasn't anything vulgarity in it. There wasn't any obscenity in it. There wasn't any infighting in it. We were not squabbling on or pouncing upon each other's necks. We were debating. Obviously, there was a leader of the house and leader of the opposition from that side. So one view was being promoted by one side. The other side was objecting to it. But they were argumentatives. We encouraged debate. We encouraged the arguments. We encouraged a different thought process. And in that, the students would judge whatever they wanted to. And it was a pure knowledgeable era in which I think I would suggest that these students' unions and these healthy activities should be restored. Of course, apart from the sports, which again is germane to your physical fitness, that apart. But this mental exercise also is very important. So I would suggest that the students should concentrate on their studies, definitely, more than anything. They should be honest unto themselves. Be honest, respect the working class. And there should be no concept of a superiority complex. So I believe, now basically we are Baloch, and we never consider our servants as servants. We consider them as a part of the family. I would not mind sitting with them and having food and etc. And I would not even rebuke them in a way. You can get things done in a very humble manner, in a very loving manner, in a very compassionate manner, instead of being harsh. And this intolerance in society has to end. The intolerance has to end at every level. And this has to be indoctrinated from the cradle of the mother to the teaching curricula, to by the staff, by the teachers, by the students themselves, by their associations. So I think the best thing is, number one, that they should be honest with themselves and let them be whatever they want to. I am not the one who wants to thrust anything on my son or my daughter. Choose your career, whatever is to your liking, because you will excel in that. But if I thrust somebody, no, you be a doctor or you be an engineer, you will be an engineer, you should be an engineer, or you be a computer scientist, etc., etc. If it is not to his liking, maybe I force him to go through it, but he will never excel. So mediocrity is not the answer at all.
Right.
You know, the other day we were sitting on in a Eid congregation, and they said, look, there are two chief ministers sitting here. There is a governor sitting here. There is an attorney general sitting here. There is a chief justice of Pakistan. Lateef Khosa is my first cousin. Chief justice of Pakistan sitting, former, of course, IG police sitting here, chief secretary sitting here. Alhamdulillah, small family, but you know, having all, and it is all because of educational excellence. My village, Jahan Khan, had no road, mind you, no electricity. No road and no electricity. Farthest area, of course, Salman Belt. On the other side is Balochistan, on this side is Dera Ghazi Khan. And from that village, see, we have now transcended, and alhamdulillah, we are all over the world. This is all because of educational excellence. And there is always a top, the vacancy at the top. Let me tell you, when I joined the profession, they said, मुंडा पागल हो गया है, लाहौर जा रहे हैं, उते थे मगरमच्छ पे ने इधर की हैसियत है, you know. And I came here, I had no feeding area, no brotherly, no judge was my relative, or etc., etc. And alhamdulillah, I am here before you. So let me tell you, never shy off. This is the best profession that you have adopted.
Everybody knows.
Because you see, there is no point of saturation. Sky is the limit. So don't think that there are very senior people and therefore you can't beat them. You can beat everyone, provided you have the passion. The other day, the Chief Justice, one of them said, Khosa साहब, एक बात तो बताएं. मैंने कहा जी पूछें. I thought there was some question of law which was boggling his mind and he wanted a clarification. It was during the course of an argument. एक बात तो बताएं. When he was talking in Urdu, तो he said, जब हमने पेशा ज्वाइन किया था, यानी वकालत में आए थे और फिर जज बना और फिर चीफ जस्टिस, तब भी आप ऐसे थे और माशाल्लाह उस वक्त भी जज्बा आपका, उस वक्त भी आपकी बहस, और माशाल्लाह इसी तरह आप एनर्जेटिक थे, और आज भी आप ऐसे ही हैं. हम बूढ़े हो गए हैं. मैं I relaxed and I laughed, you know. I said, let me tell you the recipe of it. The recipe is, never let the passion in life die. You will always remain young and vibrant. You see, passion, love your profession, and with honesty and integrity. Honesty ना हो तो कुछ भी नहीं है, मैं आपको बता दूं. You can get a momentary jump, all right, jackpot लग गया एक आधा, but you will never be able to sustain the position at the top. So if you want to be a topper and an achiever, then you have to be honest and love your profession, and your passion should never die in life. So you will always remain at the top. And Alhamdulillah, I wish your students to emulate these principles, and inshallah, they'll become big lawyers. And they should never consider this as a money earning machine. They should be more compassionate, service oriented, and then Allah will, subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them everything. They don't have to bother about, because Allah ta'ala ने खुद कुरान शरीफ में कहा है, मैंने तुम्हारे लिए ज़मीन की तहों में और आसमान की फिजाओं में इतनी वुसअत और ताकत दी है, तुम तजस्सुस करो, मैं तुम्हारे लिए तसख्खर करूंगा. Allah Almighty will give you, will reward you if you work hard and you research and go into the depth. एक अल्लाह की रस्सी को मजबूती से थामो. ये जो दौलत का खुदा, हवस का खुदा, ये इक़्तिदार का खुदा, ये कोई खुदा बुदा नहीं है. अल्लाह ताला ने ये पांचों चीजें अपने हाथ में रखी हैं: जिंदगी, मौत, इज्जत, जिल्लत, रिज्क. ये खालिस अल्लाह के हाथ में. सो हम ये कहते हैं कि ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर है तो इसकी खुशामद करेंगे, नौकरी मिलेगी. चीफ मिनिस्टर है, इसकी खुशामद करेंगे, नौकरी मिलेगी, या पास हो जाएंगे, या टॉप पे. अल्लाह की कसम, इनके हाथ में कुछ नहीं है. And before you, I've never asked for anything. God has given me everything by His own self, without asking. So you get everything provided you have the passion, the honesty, the integrity, and you pursue it. और अल्लाह से जो है मांगो, जो चीज मांगनी है अल्लाह से मांगो. अल्लाह की रस्सी को मजबूती से थामो and speak out the truth. So I would congratulate your students also for joining such a beautiful university, and for such a wonderful जो आपके माशाल्लाह हेड हैं, टीचर्स हैं, उनकी रिस्पेक्ट करें, वालिदैन की रिस्पेक्ट करें, क्योंकि उसी में जो है आपकी अजमत है, उसी में आपकी तरक्की है. और उस्ताद भी वालिद होता है, इसलिए उस्ताद की, वालिदैन की, अवाम की, हर एक से प्यार करें और हर एक को इज्जत दें और हर एक की जो है आप खिदमत करें. इसी में आपकी अजमत है. और अल्लाह की रस्सी को मजबूती से थामें, किसी से खौफ ना हो, सच बोलें और सच को कभी मत छुपाएं.
Thank you for being with us today, sir. So today we talked about the judicial independence and how 26th Amendment has affected it. As you've heard Lateef Khosa talking about the way we can bring students in this race and to bring up to take Pakistan forward. And we had an honor to have him here with us today. And we'll inshallah meet you in the next episode of the Lawyer's Desk. Thank you.